Perfume is not just about scent, it's about memories, identity, and emotions. And today I have the privilege to speak with one of the world's most celebrated perfumers, a man whose creations have touched millions of hearts around the globe and who proudly carries his Armenian heritage wherever he goes. Francis Kürkdzan, it is my pleasure to welcome you here, exclusively for public television of Armenia.
Good morning.
We're at Sergei Parajanov Museum.
Yes.
It's a very symbolic place for you.
Yes, indeed. First, because it's the first time I'm seeing it, and more importantly, I'm a great admirer of his work. I had the honor and the pleasure to found a retrospective of his work in Paris last year for the 100th anniversary that we celebrated in France, and it was very important because it was at the French Cinematheque, so it's a very important place, part of the movie industry in France, and also because Parajanov inspired many directors, from Spielberg to Jean-Luc Godard in France, or Fellini, and he's also a multidisciplinary artist, touching different mediums. And that resonates quite much with what I'm trying to do in the field of perfumery.
So I think everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason, yes. I really believe in that.
You grew up in Paris to Armenian parents. And
through Armenian grandparents. Because my parents
yes.
were born and raised as well in France.
And your childhood was full of music, classical music, ballet, and your frequent visits to museums. Do you think that this childhood full of art shaped you as a perfumer?
I think that the exposure we had, my brothers and sisters and myself, to the world of art, of course, definitely brought openness to my creativity. And it was not only art. We had to do so many things. We had to be good at sports. Mm-hmm. I remember that my sister was playing the tennis. I was doing some running and some things like athlete and some almost like Olympic Games in a way. We had to be good at school as well. So my parents were very demanding because I believe they gave us the opportunity to do things that they couldn't do at that time because my grandparents moved to France between the 20s and the 30s.
Yes.
And basically my parents got the French citizenship when they were 16 years old. Even though they were born in France, at the time it was not something that you would get automatically. And they had to work very soon. My mother started to work, she was 16 years old, and so almost so my father. So I believe they wanted us, the three of us, to have the best education we could get. And the education is not only art, it's also being school and physical activities.
And being good at everything you have ever done.
And the question was, I remember, if you came with a plus, the question was, what was the rest of the class? And if you were not on the top of the class, you would get a little comment about it. But it's fine. I mean, it's good to be demanding. Life is all about that. I believe in work.
Are you demanding?
Yeah, of course I am, because creation is demanding. And I'm demanding because I am self-demanding also. So I allow myself to be demanding because I am very demanding, yes.
Well, speaking about school, people often had a hard time pronouncing your family name, Kürkdzan, which is a usual thing for all Armenians, I think. So they came up with the nickname, short one, Kürki. So looking back at that little Kürki, could he ever imagine that one day he will work for houses like Dior, Jean-Paul Gaultier? Later, he will establish his own fragrance house. Or maybe this was also a form of manifestation, no?
I knew that I wanted to do something big in my life from a young age. I felt I was different and I knew it. What I didn't know was what form it will take. But at some point, I told myself, why not you? I think that it's important to think that as long as you work, as long as you are loyal to people, even though sometimes those people can betray you, but I think as long as you're loyal to yourself first, and to life, and to the idea of working hard, I believe you can get what you want. I believe you can achieve many things, and this is what I tell usually the young perfumers when they come to see me nowadays. I always tell them, if you have a magic stick, if you could change your life, what would you? And too many often, people, the first enemy of the people are themselves, because you build walls. You are the first one to build walls. The difficulty is to tear those walls down, is to believe that you can make it. Because if you don't believe yourself that you can make it, no one else but you can really make it. No one else but you can convince yourself, you know. I had friends and people, and as I say, I have lucky stars. I had many people who helped me. I call them my lucky stars, and even though they helped me, if you don't want to move, if you don't believe in yourself first, yes, nothing moves, nothing changes really. I believe you are the artisan of your own successes, the same way you are also the artisan of your failures.
When you launched the fragrance called Kalki, which was an homage to your childhood, in one of your interviews you mentioned that this perfume came during a moment in your creative life when you wanted to introduce the idea of letting go. What exactly did you mean by that?
I think in your career, at some point, you forget you forget some of your dreams. And usually I don't like dreams, because to me, dreams are unrealistic most of the time. Dreams are, oh, one day I will do something, or if I had the energy to do it, or if I had the chance to do it. And the reason why I don't like dreams is because my time is, I have very little time in my life, and I like things to be done, achieved, so I can move forward, so it's like checked, you know, I check things. And sometimes you miss things, you know, you forget that you look at the sky, and instead of having fun with the clouds, you're just checking the weather.
Yes.
Whereas as a kid, usually when you look up, you try to find a funny shape to the clouds, you know. As an adult, when you walk by and there is water on the street, like a flood, you try to pass by. When you're a kid, you jump in it and you make fun of it. There are little things like that that you tend to forget when you grow up, that you don't want to do anymore because it's too serious. Like even on the practical way, not practical, but eating candies, you know? People relate that to, even though now I'm 57, I love eating candies. But for some reason, because you grow up, there are things that you can't do. But it's not you can't do, because as an adult, you believe that you can't do them anymore. But there are no laws for that. No one tells you you should not do it. You are
rules, yes.
You are the first one to remove that part of happiness, in a way, from your life. So Kalki is not an homage to my childhood. It's more a way to tell adults that they should not forget who they were, what their dream were, because in a way, I don't have dreams in a way, because my life is what I dreamt in a way. It's not about, I don't have dreams about something I would do or that I would have done differently. Not so much.
Is this what you tried to capture in that bottle? What feelings?
In Kalki,
yeah.
In this perfume, I try to capture the idea of have fun with yourself as well. You know, it's not just have fun in a very whimsical way. Quirky, also in English, there is something with quirky. You know.
Yes.
You have play on words, which I love that. I love playing on words a lot. I think it's always like something very smart. People who are able to be fast on playing on words and to be fast to twist something, I think it's very interesting.
So, closing the chapter of childhood, we spoke about your parents and you said they were very demanding. And what is one thing you are most thankful for to your parents?
To my parents? Openness. I think they were open people. And sometimes it's not so easy because coming from Middle Eastern roots, and even their parents were very strict in a way. I think they were very open, just to let me do what I wanted to do, because sometimes parents are not so.
Are the ones building the walls?
Yeah, they're part of them. Yeah, they're part of those people who build walls because they dream something for you that you don't really want.
Yes.
You know, they dreamt for me at some point that I should be a lawyer, but I don't have any appetite for that. You know, I have no appetite for that, and I was more into arts and into playing the piano and the ballet, and after the perfumery. So they let me do what was good for me, which is not maybe easy for parents because they could have, I know, but sometimes they were scared because when you start as a perfumer, it's about uncertainty, you know, it's about what type of perfumer are you going to be? How are you going to be able to make perfumery as a living? Because also we come from a very, I would say, blue-collar family. It was not about. My father worked very hard to offer us a very good life, but they were worried about that, as any parents, which I totally, I'm fine with it. It's fine. It's part of the game in a way.
Yes, it is.
But they let me do things I wanted to do. So I'm very grateful for that.
Well, you started your early career in Dior, and today you are the creative director of Christian Dior Perfumes.
Yes.
Is this a full circle moment for you?
No, it's part of my life. I'm not saying it's natural or normal. For me, there is something normal about it. There is something that destiny, Jagadakir, my grandmother.
Jagadakir, yes.
My grandmother would have said that, just because. Just also for me, why is it so natural? Because the Armenian church in Paris, the Rue Jean Goujon, is right behind the headquarters of Christian Dior.
Well, that's Jagadakir for sure.
And basically, the church was built up in 1910, and the house of Dior was opened in 1947. You know, so basically, there was something about it because this is in this church. My grandparents got married. My parents got married there. This is where I was christened. And I'm used to, as a kid, young kid, I'm walking by, I'm used to, Christian Dior is part of my childhood. So maybe it's Jagadakir. You know?
It's Jagadakir, or maybe you just manifested.
Sorry?
Maybe you just manifested.
I don't know.
Speaking about words, you say you always, when creating a new perfume, you first come up with a name.
Yes.
And it kind of gives you direction. Please take us on that journey of perfume creation, and also what's mainly your source of inspiration, or it just comes?
So the main sources of inspiration basically are mostly artistic. Mm-hmm. Different fields. It could be painting, it could be literature, because I believe that literature is also about art, painting, ballet. Moreover, it's also about life at large, values maybe. I have a trilogy of scents based on the Aqua, on the former Eau de Cologne, which is a very ancient fragrance form in perfumery. So there is Aqua Universalis, Aqua Vitae, Aqua Media, Aqua Celestia, and those 4 scents really are based on the idea of the feeling of freshness through light. So you have the idea of whiteness with Aqua Universalis, which I try to give in this perfume the feeling of putting on a freshly ironed shirt, or when you go to bed, you know, and when the bed, the linens are freshly ironed. There is this very specific feeling to it.
Oh,
so it's not so
definitely.
much about the smell, it's more about the feeling of it. Aqua Celestia, it was inspired from Rothko, the painter, with the shades of blue. It's like when the sky meets the sea, you know, on the horizon, on the sea. Aqua Vitae was more a celebration of the sun, sunlight, sunshine. That was inspired from one of my trips in Spain. I used to go to Spain quite a lot on this little remote island, Formentera, which is a tiny, tiny rock in the Mediterranean. It could be also crafts like crystal making with Rouge 540, which is one of our bestseller. It's a worldwide bestseller. And Rouge 540 was inspired by the alchemy of gold mixing with crystal infusion and being heated up at 504 degrees, 40 degrees. This is where the name comes from. Baccarat Rouge 540 is inspired from the technique behind that. It's inspired from the feeling of crystal. There is the oud collection. The oud collection is inspired from fabrics. And what is my relation to fabrics? Because both my grandparents were, one was a tailor, the other one was a fur dealer, but the father of my mother was a tailor. Mm-hmm. And so as a kid, I was impressed how he was able to transform basically fabrics, rolls of fabric, into a piece of clothing. And he has a very nice clientele. He used to live right outside of Paris, not a tiny town, a big city outside of Paris, but very famous for his clientele. And he was a good tailor, very, very renowned tailor. And I think from that era, because he passed away almost when he passed away, in the 90s. So he was 98 years old. So I met him. I spent time with him a lot.
Watching him work.
A lot. So I watched him work, and it was very impressive to me. And also when you touch the feeling of different fabrics, silk, satin, velvet, cashmere, you have different feelings. And as you said in the introduction, my work is mostly about translating emotions into a scent. So I use scent as a vehicle, as a medium.
Well, you also redefined the role of rose in perfume, in l'homme à la rose.
Yes.
Because traditionally it was a feminine note rather than masculine.
Yes.
But you changed it all. What was the idea behind that?
The idea was to, in a way, it's like, why not men? Why rose? Rose, of course, it's traditional. Rose has been a symbol of femininity for centuries, not only in some religions, but also in arts, in literature, in poetry. And I told myself, why do we have this boundary in Western culture? Because if you go to the Middle East, for example, men in the Gulf countries, they wear roses, rose scents. And I told myself, why in Western countries do we have that kind of boundaries? Why do we not allow ourselves to let men wear roses? It doesn't make sense in a way, you know? So this is how it started. And I had a perfume named À la Rose that I created in 2014. And the name, I love playing with words and names, and l'homme à la rose sounds the man with a rose. I think it sounds pretty nice for the name of a perfume. I think it's something very poetic as
Very
well.
romantic, yes.
Very romantic, and
No,
also
but poetic, yes.
there is poetry, romanticism as well, you're right. And also there is a mystery, l'homme à la rose, you know. You wonder who is he, you wonder what he wears. There is something like that.
By the way, when you're creating a fragrance, do you imagine the man or the woman who are going to wear it in future?
No, very occasionally, very occasionally. I just did one for the House of Dior this March for Rihanna, because Rihanna was very inspiring. But otherwise, for my maison, I am, generic is not the right word, but I always consider working for an array of people. So if you have just someone in mind, I think I lose a bit of that universality. This is why it's more like a feeling. It's more like very large. And as I don't like to be focused on one raw material most of the time, and I try to be like multi-sensorial in my approach on perfumery, I try to, usually I don't have anyone in mind. I don't like that. Even the gender of the perfume comes at the very end. The gender of the perfume is led by the story. So the story leads always, always, always.
And you follow it.
Yes, and at the end, I have a result. And then I can tell you if it's more feminine or masculine.
Once you said in an interview, you can't predict the success of a perfume in advance. I follow my instinct, and if I'm not 100% sure, I ask a few of my very close friends. How important is that circle of trust in the creation process?
You mean with my friends?
Yes. Do you really ask them? Or you just go with your gut?
No, I at some point, I ask very few people, and they are never the same people I ask. It depends on the project. For example, I'm just going to give you something and you will understand. If you like fresh citrus perfume, and if I'm creating a very warm, ambery, woody perfume, I'm not going to ask you to try, because I know that your taste leads you to something very fresh, which is the opposite of what I'm working on. So there are very few chances that you're going to like it. So it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. It's like if you like pasta, and if you don't like vegetables, I'm not going to serve you vegetables, you know? So in a way, I have that kind of, I try with my friends, I let them smell, even my team, but I make sure that they have the emotional capability to appreciate what I'm doing.
So about the success, Baccarat Rouge 540, it was a global phenomenon. Yes. Could you ever predict this kind of success? And what was the secret, or there was not?
First of all, if I had a secret, I would not share it. That's for sure. I will keep it for myself, I have to say. Like I'll be a bit selfish for that. There is a secret, but the only issue with that is that the secret, you can find it afterwards, once you have launched it. Why? Because a perfume is not just a scent. A perfume goes with a brand. It goes with the name of the product, and of course, you have the scent. But you have also the entire ecosystem, you know? When do you launch it? Against which other brand you are competing? Right now, you have so many brands launching perfumes, you know? The channel of distribution is very important. You know, when we decided with my business partner to possibly we'll be selling our product in Armenia, thank God the Hermitage team came to see us and told us that they were interested in the brand. That was at the very, very early stage of the brand. I think we were like 5-6 years old as a brand. Of course, I knew that at some point, because of my name, because of my origins, I would have to be and to sell the line in Armenia, but we also have to find the right partner. And the success of a company depends, of course, on the brains, on your people, your collaborators, and also on the people you partner with. And here in Armenia, I mean, for the past 10 years now, I think,
More.
More?
13.
13 years in Armenia?
Yes.
Okay, you know, time goes very fast. So for the past 13 years, the partnership we had with Hermitage is, for us, it works very, very well because they are very respectful to the brand, to who we are. I believe also maybe because I'm part of the country somehow, even though for me it's difficult, I have to admit, because from my grandparents, we have a vision of being Armenian from the Ottoman side, you know, which is a bit different from here. My grandmother used to talk to me about the Bosphore and the sea, and in a very different way. Even the food is different. Even the food.
It
When
is.
I remember my first trip in Armenia, I was shocked. Is not maybe appropriate. Disappointed. No, disoriented. Sorry, disoriented, because the references are very different. We drink ori for lunch, and I remember, like, when I came, it was almost 20 years ago. There was no ori in the restaurant. The food was very different. I couldn't find my habits in a way. And the way we speak Armenian is a bit different. You know?
Yeah, it's a different language.
It's a
but
different.
beautiful
It's
one.
not a different language, but
Most of, yes.
it's not the same thing. And I was expecting, yes, I was expecting maybe something closer to what I've learned, and expecting something I was exposed to, in a way. So when we met with Hermitage, it was part of a family, in a way.
And Baccarat is the fave.
And
Here in
and the
Armenia.
Rouge 540 is a global, universal success. Yes, not only in Armenia, but in the US, in Europe, everywhere. Yes.
Well, you often say that the 3 key ingredients for success are coherence, disruptiveness, and timing. Looking back at your work, which of your perfumes do you believe will stand the test of time?
No one. Perfume is not meant to last, you know, and you have to accept. It's not like here we are at Parajanov. You see the artwork will last. What will last from my work will be the bottles, the names, but at some point the perfume will fade away because it's part of what perfume is about. You know, we have no trace, no souvenir, no actual physical proof of what a perfume from the 18th century smell like. It's part of the, you know, it's that the way it is, that's the way perfume is.
It's part of life.
That's the way it is. There is no, you can't do anything about it. So it's about, I think the legacy would be, I think my legacy would be that if you work hard, you can make it. And also stay true to who you are. I think that's very important. Stay true to yourself.
Is there an ingredient you go back again and again, or there are no favorites?
No, it depends on the subject, it depends on the goal, it depends on the project. Ingredients are just tools, you know. And tools are meant to evolve. Tools are meant to evolve. That's for sure. Because my palette, when I started 30 years ago now, and today, my palette is very different. Because there are things, there are products that I don't use anymore because the perfumes I want to create are not appropriate to use them. Some products are more refined because I find better suppliers. Some products have disappeared because now we have new regulatory laws that we need to follow to provide a secure product, and there are some ingredients we can't use anymore. You know, so it's like anything else in life at some point.
Well, speaking about evolving, you once spoke about your interview about the future of scent.
Yes.
And the possibility that technology may one day just store or recreate our olfactory memories.
Yes.
Do you truly believe that one day we're going to have a chip instead of our smelling senses?
I'm totally sure about that. I know it sounds crazy, but there are down the way. Yeah.